Next email we have is from Julie in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. Ooh. Well, only in America can you start off being Susie Shanley's little boy from the project who wasn't supposed to be anything. And given the passage of time, all of a sudden you flap your lips into a microphone and people in another country know you exist. Thank you for your email, Julie. It says, what does the Bible verse mean? Your desire shall be for your husband, and he shall rule over you. Thank you very much, my dear, for submitting this. This comes out of Genesis chapter 3, in particular verse 16. As we all know, the old saying in hermeneutics, which is the art and science of biblical interpretation, a text without a context is a proof text for a pretext. And that saying simply means that I can take one sentence out of the Bible, out of its paragraph, out of its page, out of its book, out of the Old or New Testament, and ultimately out of the whole darn thing, and in isolation, with the right spin, make it sound and make it seem to be saying whatever the heck I feel like. And if there's an audience out there dumb enough to believe it, guess what? I can make them do whatever I want to do. And you can take that principle and apply it to the works of Shakespeare, or a sentence out of your favorite movie. The mainstream media tends to do it from the speeches of your favorite politicians. Speech could be an hour long. They'll take one sound bite and try to twist it and make it sound in something that it wasn't, right? So the best thing to do is to get the context. This is Genesis chapter 3, verse 16. So there's not only 3 chapters that before it, but there's also 15 verses before it. So just by way of a quick look here, it is God is in the midst contextually. And by way of genre, we're not dealing with an allegory or a poem or a metaphor. This is a historical narrative. It is a literal rendering in a historical manner of human beings that once walked this planet and what they did and where they went and what they said, as recorded under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit by Prophet Moses. All right, we have ancient scrolls. The integrity of these things is strong. But we're dealing with history, and that's the lenses through which I'd like you to attempt to see this. It is one of my goals in this life, if God allows me to live to see it, to do a verse-by-verse breakdown of the first 3 chapters of Genesis, because there's so many nuggets along the way, and there's so much useful information that I feel that I could really bring it out and with the help of God, hopefully have an impact on people's lives and their theological and Christian education. But so God is in the middle after Adam and Eve have eaten the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He gave them one rule, not 10, not 5, just one. They broke that one rule. And a God of perfect justice necessarily is bound by his nature and has to punish these things. Okay? So he's laying out punishments and curses. He curses everything, the ground. He curses the animals. He curses humankind. If you back up far enough, you see that life's greatest blessings are marriage and children. And Adam and Eve, prior to eating from this tree, had an expectation that they were going to have this beautiful, harmonious union, and that they were going to go forth and multiply and populate the entire planet, and it was going to be wonderful. Well, now God has, in his justice, brought curses that are going to make these great blessings very difficult. Okay? In terms of the marriage relationship, which is going on in this Genesis chapter 3 here. And by the way, just for your own, so you can see this, because I can see it in my brain, but I'd like you to see it on paper. Get a piece of paper out, and I'd like you to draw a line symmetrically down the middle So the paper is split into two equal columns. Okay, you got two columns, and there's a hard line in the middle. Okay, we're making a dichotomy, a distinction here, so that you can better understand what's going on and not be clouded by any inaccurate press that's out there. On the left side of this line, in the left column, I want you to write the word economy. On the right side, I want you to write ontology. Underneath economy, on the left side, I want you to write the word function. On the right side, underneath the word ontology, I want you to write being. Here's the Christian/Jewish structure of the family. Ontologically, in their being, man, woman, and children are equal. They're made in the image and likeness of God, and on that basis, intrinsically, from the moment of conception, have, by their very existence, beauty and worth and significance and purpose and value. That's not granted them by the state or by anyone other than God. Thus, no human being is qualified to attempt to take it. They have the right to life, liberty, property, the pursuit of happiness, etc., not because a government says so, but because God has conferred it upon them. So ontologically, in their being, everyone under your roof is equal, and what they say and think and feel is meaningful and must be taken into consideration. It must. Now, on the other side, in terms of economy and function, there are specific, set apart, defined roles that each individual must play for the machine that is the family to work properly the way God has designed it. The man has a specific function economically. The woman has a specific function economically. The children have a specific function, a specific role, okay, specific duties. And the wife owes the husband owes the wife, the parents owe the children owe the parents. This thing needs to work properly. That's how God has designed it. The moment that someone steps out of their role, that's when things go to hell in a handbasket, especially when they decide that they want to be something else. So when the children decide, I'm tired of being a child, I want to rise up and become the adult, there's going to be a problem. When the parent condescends and decides, I want to be cool, and I want to be the hip parent, and I want to be the friend, I want to be just like one of the kids, they damn their own role as the parent and leave it. They leave that post. That becomes a problem. When the husband decides he wants to become the wife, the woman, obviously then it leaves the vacuum. There's no man functioning as the man of the house. And this one says basically, it says, your desire shall be for your husband and he shall rule over you. The curse involved here is, despite the fact that in terms of the economy or function in the household, the man is the representative, the man is the head, if you will begin to desire and covet and be jealous of and seek to take that position from him and overthrow him and enthrone yourself as the male functionally and economically of the family. All right? That's what that verse means. And you can see it in the family. Anytime that a lady says, hey, I want to be the guy, however that looks, and it can come out in many ways, that's when you start to see things go badly. But then on the macrocosmic level in society, you can see the girls start to try to be like the boys. That little girl going out for the position on the boys' wrestling team or whatever. The girl wanting to take on the man attributes, or the girl wanting to run stuff that was set aside for a guy to run, or what have you. All of these things can be traced back to right about the time of the Garden of Eden here. Okay, so your desire shall be for your husband, yet he shall rule over you means you're going to covet his position as the male of the house, as the head of the house, functionally and economically. And I wanted to make that distinction at the beginning because the caricature in Hollywood and the mainstream media, those religious folks, you see, they believe that a woman is inferior. She shouldn't have any rights. She should be seen and not heard. She should be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen all the time and should not have any hopes or goals or dreams or career. We've never said that. That's a caricature and it's dishonest. And the Christian community could sue people like that for slander and libel and retire. All right, there's an entire campaign that is designed to train Joe Schmo public who's watching television to hate you if you're a Christian. You should see that. And they're willing to lie to do it. They're willing to tell them that you think and believe things that you don't. Okay, so I made this distinction very clear. Ontologically, man, woman, and children are equal in their being. Economically, they have different roles and functions to fulfill, and the moment that they step out and try to be something that other than what God has designed them to be, the family will necessarily crumble. Okay? And any appeals that come from outside of the home that get you to be, I hate being a wife. I hate being a mother. I'm mad. That is deliberate, designed to screw with your family. Or to the man, you need to get in touch with your feminine side, brother. You might be gay, or whatever. Did you ever think of, doing more ladylike things? That's designed to screw with your family. Going to the children through the government-run school. You ever think of telling on your family if they don't have the right green light bulbs or whatever? Or if there's some kind of is someone yelling at you at the house or whatever? Recruiting your kids to be a narc on your family on behalf of the state, causing that problem, that beef inside of your house. Or kids, have you risen up and tried to make decisions without consulting your parents? You should, you know. You're almost 14, you see. Or whatever. That's a deliberate attempt to divide the family by appealing to people inside of the family to get them to leave their role and their function. And that is one of the curses of the fall, and it's written right here. A lady looking at the position of a man in the house, getting angry and saying, I want that position. That is what Genesis 3:16 says. God has put that in there so that marriage, which is supposed to be a beautiful blessing, is going to be a problem. It will be fixed with the second advent of Messiah, you see. But right now, this is the situation we find ourselves faced with. And like I said, one day you should hear me flow on the first 3 chapters of Genesis because I'm really in the mood now and I feel like I can do a great job with it. Thank you very much. What have we got next?